In the year 3023, Earth was an echo of its former glory, a patch of vibrant green teetering on the edge of extinction. It was a world marred by the remnants of its own hubris, where once bustling cities lay crumbled under the weight of time, and nature diligently began to reclaim its territory. Towering vines twisted around skeletal skyscrapers, while flowers poked their heads through cracks in the pavement. Yet, even among the decay, life remained vibrant and hopeful, a testament to resilience. In a small corner of what was once known as Los Angeles, a tattered but colorful tent stood sentinel among wildflowers, a humble refuge for the last human survivor, a young woman named Lyra. With choppy black hair framing her sun-kissed face and warm brown eyes that held the curiosity of an unbroken spirit, she enjoyed her solitary existence in this forgotten world. There was little left of the old Earth, just ruins and whispers of past lives filled with noise, ambition, and chaos. Instead, Lyra had grown up in a realm painted by the gentle brush of the wind among the grasses, of rustling leaves and birdsong, a natural symphony she created an eternal connection with. But Lyra was not alone, not completely. Close to her tent, nestled within blankets of moss and wildflowers, was a peculiar figure. An alien, perhaps? No, it was something that resembled an extraterrestrial child, though Lyra later learned it was a synthetic being, an outcome of a mysterious extraterrestrial endeavor to explore human emotion. This creature, an experiment gone awry, was only understandable if she let her heart guide her thoughts. Lyra named him Zeno. Standing just below her waist, he had iridescent green skin that shimmered like precious stones, his eyes wide and curious, filled with the innocence of exploration and the confusion of existence. A perpetual smile danced across his face, accentuated by tiny round ears that twitched with every sound, absorbing every rustle in their shared paradise. The day had begun serenely, with sunlight spilling through the trees, dappling the ground with warmth. Lyra awoke to the sweet scent of jasmine, her favorite flower, intertwined with the earthy aroma of morning dew. She stretched, her limbs waking up with the sun as she stepped out of her tent, a slight groan escaping her lips. "Lyra!" Zeno squealed, his voice a soft chime. He peered out from behind a stray wildflower, his eyes sparkling with uncontainable delight. "Look at this. Can I eat it?" In his tiny hand, he held what seemed to be a vibrant crimson berry. The rapture of a child experiencing life for the first time shone through him. Lyra smiled, her heart swelling as she watched his rapture. "No, Zeno, wait." Lyra chuckled, darting over, crouching beside him to inspect the berry. "It's beautiful, but I'm not sure it's safe to eat. We have to remember the rules about unfamiliar plants." Zeno frowned, a micro-expression of disappointment washing over his angular face. Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, her warmth radiating into his being. "But we can learn, right? What if we observe it? What if we see if any creatures eat it first?" "Great idea." Zeno perked up, turning his wide gaze to the bushes as he fell in line with her thoughts. They watched raptly as a small rabbit nibbled on the berries without hesitation. Zeno giggled with delight. "I love bunnies. They look like fluffy clouds." A feeling of camaraderie enveloped them. Their shared adventure was one untainted by the past. In inventive exploration, they found a glimpse of hope in their isolation, inventing a life punctured with joy, curiosity, and deep friendship. They sought beauty where most had long since declared it gone. With Zeno's eyes fixated on the rabbit, Lyra felt a flutter in her heart. She recognized the swirl of innocence, pity, and determination in him, the very qualities that made humanity beautiful, but that had also led to immense intrigue among the extraterrestrial beings. In their scientific assessment, they'd intended to cultivate zombies. Instead, they bore witness to a creature endowed with emotional prowess and strength. Lyra often wondered about the purpose of Zeno's creation. Why they had picked him, a crafted being devoid of memories, of human grievances, but filled with a raw energy that was captivating. Perhaps it was the essence of division they tried to create that ultimately had failed. They'd attempted to control the spirit of humanity, but inadvertently gifted it autonomy, something that still took human form in Zeno. As the sun ascended higher into the skies, Lyra engaged Zeno in a new project, tinkering with some of the gadgets left behind in the wreckage of cities long since abandoned. In a small enclave where they would often rummage for colored wires and broken machines, Lyra discovered a glimmer of hope. An old satellite receiver. What if this can connect us to the world? Lyra mused, her eyes shimmering with possibilities. We could reach out. Someone might be listening. Zeno's eyes sparkled with wonder. Will we find humans? Lyra's laughter softened, a tinge of melancholy threading through her voice. I'm afraid it might just lead us back to the aliens who made you. Zeno pondered that for a moment. Are they bad? No, I don't think they are. They just didn't understand, she explained, feeling a sudden connection to Zeno's nature, their bond growing deeper in these moments of sharing wounds. They tried to control what they couldn't, and instead, they created what they couldn't predict. We are all just seeking to understand each other. With determination igniting within her, Lyra devoted the rest of the afternoon to fixing the receiver with Zeno by her side. His small hands mirrored her movements, often imitating her, sometimes causing more chaos than order, but always with a laughter that echoed in the stillness of the wilderness that embraced them. As the sun dipped low, splitting hues of purple and orange across the horizon, the bright glow of the setting sun danced through the treetops. The world had transformed into a fairy tale, softening the edges of desolation that surrounded them. They finished their makeshift satellite, a beacon that could potentially awaken the echoes of a past filled with connection. That night, as darkness cloaked their world, Lyra flicked the switch. Nothing. Zeno's little shoulders slumped, a tangible disappointment that knit their contrasting hearts. But the silence wouldn't remain unbroken. A series of beeps erupted through the still air, growing louder, resonating a feeling that had long since been dormant. Lyra's heartbeat quickened, hope danced in her chest, illuminating the shadows. Zeno! There's a signal. And for the first time she realized the journey they had forged together was only just beginning. The sounds of the beeping receiver pierced through the tranquil night air, reverberating against the backdrop of crickets playing their nocturnal symphony. Lyra's pulse quickened as she knelt before their makeshift satellite. The screen flickered to life, casting a faint bluish glow that illuminated their faces. She looked at Zeno, whose eyes shone like stars. Each beep that echoed out felt like a heartbeat of hope. Do you think someone will answer? Zeno whispered, his voice barely above the wind. I don't know, Lyra admitted, her gaze fixed on the screen as it flickered in sporadic patterns. But we have to try. As if responding to their shared anticipation, the beeping intensified, switching to a rhythmic sequence that felt eerily familiar. Lyra held her breath, heart racing at what might come next. She was filled with a mixture of exhilaration and anxiety. What if they reached someone? What if no one was there? She prayed for the latter, deep down, but a part of her breathed the fire of connection, the desire to share their journey. Minutes stretched into what felt like eons before suddenly, an unexpected voice crackled from the receiver, slicing through the silence. Witnessing the change. This is Outpost Echo. Is anyone out there? Identify yourself. Lyra's heart jolted. Zeno. They're here. Hello? Hello? Zeno called out, bursting with uncontainable excitement. He nearly toppled over in his enthusiasm, making Lyra chuckle through her nerve. Outpost Echo, come in, Lyra managed, her voice steady despite the rush of emotion swirling within her. This is Lyra. I'm here on Earth. Can you hear me? Barely catching her breath, the reception crackled momentarily before the voice came through again, clearer than before. Lyra, this is Delia. We've been monitoring this frequency for several cycles, trying to maintain contact with Earth's survivors. It's been decades since we were aware of anyone. At that moment, Lyra felt the world around her freeze, a kind of cosmic connection brewing, gravitational. We thought we were the last ones here. Just the two of us. Zeno squeezed her hand, the warmth of his tiny fingers grounding her. His presence reminded her of their shared resilience, a gentle ember that danced against the cold void. It's not just you. We've detected signals from other locations, but hope was dwindling. We're a community, an outpost, to reconnect with Earth. We want to help. Delia's voice radiated through the receiver, infusing the air with a sense of purpose. What do you mean? Help us? Lyra felt hope swell. An entire community might still exist, somewhere in the cosmos. Zeno and I have been surviving here in the wilderness alone. How? First, we need to understand your exact location. Delia, an engineer at your service, can guide you to make modifications to your setup for optimum communication. And perhaps our resources can assist in restoring logistics within your area. Before Lyra could respond, the air around her seemed to vibrate, the potential of connection sparking joy within her chest. Possibility of expanding their little world, rekindling community ties, ignited both hope and trepidation. Would the kindness of others come to replace their isolation? "We will do what we can," she replied, the weight of responsibility swirling anew. "That's the spirit. Please describe your surroundings." As Lyra began to narrate the lush landscape framing their home, its crisp air tinged with notes of wildflowers flourishing, mountains in the distance, it felt to both her and Zeno as if they were contributing a small piece of an ever-growing tapestry of existence. As she spoke, Zeno's eyes twinkled with adoration, cherishing their newfound purpose, mirroring her excitement. Hours melted away as they navigated through systems, modified the receiver, and slowly deciphered how to enhance their connections. Lyra and Zeno shared bits about their routines, including their playful explorations of the wildlife nearby. With each exchange, the lines of their relationship deepened. It transformed from mere survival companions into a resolute family united by the simple joy of interaction and discovery. In the days that followed, their communication with Outpost Echo blossomed. Every evening after the sun dipped below the horizon, they connected with Delia and the other members of the outpost, trading stories and ideas, becoming a part of something larger than themselves. Together, they devised plans to sample Earth's rich biodiversity, hopeful it might aid the outpost. Keen to foster a sense of community, Lyra requested Delia to share their companions, gossip about their lives in the outpost, their triumphs and struggles. As Delia spoke, Lyra cultivated visions of people laying in verdant gardens, sharing meals, laughter, and moments of kindness, all things Lyra once thought had slipped into the abyss of memory. One evening, the connection faltered, a crackle of static interrupting their flow. "The interference is too strong," Delia sighed, frustration edging her voice. "We need to locate a stronger power source on your end to help stabilize the transmission." Moving briskly to their shared supply of leftover junk, Zeno rummaged diligently through the odds and ends they'd collected from their scavenging hunts. "What about this?" He emerged triumphantly, holding up an old solar panel, its surface scratched but mostly intact. Without hesitance, Lyra's heart soared alongside Zeno's infectious energy. They dove into assembling the panel, climbing trees, and pushing aside foliage to find the optimum position for sunlight capture. Their bond flourished as they worked in tandem, sharing giggles and playful nudges, occasionally losing themselves in an exaggerated game where the trees were dragons and they were knights on valiant quests. Each moment spent rediscovering their strengths, collaborating toward a shared future, spun threads of dependency that wove their lives tighter. Zeno would often recount tales of Lyra's bravery, how she climbed the highest trees without fear, and explored mysterious caves that whispered ancient stories. As repairs on the satellite progressed, they planned for a local meeting in their vibrant clearing. Lyra envisioned people gathering beneath the stars, laughter echoing through the woods as new friendships sparked throughout the night. However, amid their excited preparations, an unusual absence set in. Zeno noticed Lyra's gaze occasionally drift into the shadows, the unbroken smile momentarily dimmed. "You're frowning. Why? Are we forgetting something?" Lyra knelt beside him, her heart tugging at the moment of vulnerability. "No, Zeno, I think about everything we've left behind." The weight of memories pressed down on her, sometimes surfacing unexpectedly. What if the other humans don't want us? Or remember how to connect? What if we're lost forever in these woods, and the outpost isn't as warm as we dream? Zeno's little chin quivered. "But you said we found hope. We are making a new family with Delia." Yes, you're right. Thank you." In those moments of both human struggle and synthetic positivity, warmth enveloped Lyra again as she traced Zeno's hand. "Your belief reminds me. There is still a chance for connections, even in a world that feels broken." The next evening, with the last rays of twilight retreating, they prepared for the first gathering. Lyra adorned their cleared circle with flowers from the nearby fields, stringing them together to create chains that danced in the evening breeze. Zeno darted around, placing the solar panel, his presence radiating enthusiasm. As the stars flickered above them, the air crackled like static, and they managed to send a signal through their newly enhanced receiver to Outpost Echo. Their small corner of Earth, once steeped in sadness, transformed into a cradle of hope. Finally, an answering voice resonated through the receiver, filled with warmth and earnestness. "We're on our way. We'll arrive soon." Anticipation buzzed in the empty spaces between them, a sense of kinship settling softly over them as warmth filled the clearing. Lyra observed Zeno, his joy undeniable, wrapping her heart in the tenderness of their unrealized family. But in that moment of togetherness, a sudden rustling noise stirred outside the clearing's perimeter, sharp and jarring. It broke the solitude, jolting them both as darkness loomed around them. Curiosity morphed into concern. The jovial cries of their upcoming gathering went silent, replaced by breathless quivers of uncertainty. Was it merely the wind? "Did you hear that?" Zeno froze, his eyes wide with anxiety. "Yes, let's be cautious." Lyra's instincts fired, her heart pounding in her chest. Through the underbrush, a series of fleeting shadows flitted by, a congregation of creatures finally disturbed by their presence, or something more disquieting. If they were being watched, fear coiled around Lyra's heart, an echo of the world they thought they had escaped. Daylight barely faded within their realm, yet it appeared that their newfound family was already at risk. Lyra's heart fought between protecting the bright spirit beside her and the urgency to uncover the source of tension lurking just beyond their peace. As she reached for Zeno's hand, the excitement of tomorrow flashed before her, along with the shadows of danger dancing more brightly around their sanctuary. And now, they no longer faced the wilderness alone, but with an impending risk that threatened to unravel everything they had just begun to rebuild. The rustling shadows seemed to remember every fracture the world had endured as Lyra and Zeno stood frozen, hand in hand. The normalcy they had crafted within their sanctuary evaporated, replaced by the pulse of anxiety reverberating through the trees surrounding them. For a brief moment it felt as if the enchantment of their lilac-scented clearing could be pulled away, unveiling the stark reality of the world they had escaped. "Lyra, what if it's the aliens?" Zeno whispered, quaking as the shadows blotted out the little light that remained. His voice was small and diminished, a contrast to the vibrant energy he had exuded earlier. "No," Lyra reassured him, her grip tightening around his hand. "It wouldn't make sense. They haven't shown any signs of returning here, not since we started communicating with Outpost Echo." She took a slow, calming breath, summoning the courage that had come to define her. "We need to investigate, but we'll do it together. I won't let anything happen to you." Zeno nodded, though fear still flickered in his remarkable eyes. They stood poised, the essence of the bond they had formed lingering like an invisible shield around them. Slowly, they moved towards the source of the rustling noise, Lyra keeping the receiver close. It flickered restlessly, hinting at the urgency of the moment. Yet also a comfort, that Outpost Echo was only a heartbeat away, ready to respond to their call. As they approached the thicket, the shadows began to pull back just enough for them to glimpse what was causing the commotion. Lyra's heart raced. Emerging from the darkness were not the menacing figures they feared, but a family of foxes, their bushy tails flicking playfully as they tugged at the remnants of Zeno's discarded solar parts, undoubtedly attracted to the shiny wires. A breath of relief escaped Lyra's lips, wide-eyed laughter bubbling forth as Zeno mirrored her joy. "It's just the foxes," he exclaimed, the tension evaporating from his tiny body. He crouched down, beckoning the curious creatures closer, while Lyra extended a hand in gentle invitation. With all the softness of hearts rediscovering innocence, the foxes approached cautiously, their eyes twinkling like stars in the shadows. "What do you think they want?" Zeno asked, captivated by their curiosity. "I think they sense the kindness in our space," Lyra replied, her voice as gentle as the swirling winds. "Just like we've made it our home, they're searching for connection too." Gradually, they eased into an exchange of playful curiosity, the foxes nudging Zeno's hand, sniffing at the remnants of their adventure. Lyra's laughter danced through the air, splashing color against the dreary backdrop of uncertainty the world had once reflected. The moment grew more than just laughter among friends. It was a reminder of life, persisting in places where despair had once taken root. Together, they reveled in that shared vulnerability, embodying a profound acknowledgement of the beauty found within their surroundings, no matter how worn or tattered. Soon, the laughter faded into contentment, the foxes eventually retreating into the shadows, as if to say they had shared the spirit of connection. As twilight enveloped them once more, Lyra turned to Zeno, who still sparkled with excitement. "You see? "We're planting seeds of friendship here, even with the foxes," she said, the warmth spilling from her heart illuminating the cool night. The gentle anticipation of what might come next wrapped around them, growing every day as they transformed their home while awaiting the arrivals from Outpost Echo. Each connection ignited new inquiries. Each evening they pored over their plans with Delia and the team, excitedly brainstorming ways to enrich the land with creativity. As days turned into weeks, Lyra and Zeno continued their projects, exploring the lore of forgotten spots. They unearthed hidden gardens beneath the remnants of crumbled structures, nurturing flowers that bathed the remnants in hues of vibrancy. They planted seeds of hope, both figuratively and literally, believing that even the tiniest bloom could remind the world of life's sweetness once again. The last day of preparation arrived, and their excitement permeated the air. Tonight marked their first gathering, a celebration of their protective space and community, surrounded by nature's welcoming embrace. Zeno darted about, adorning the clearing with chains of flowers, carefully hung from branches as the colors sang in harmony with the dusk. "This will be our greatest feast," Zeno chirped, determination dancing in his movements as he guided his handmade decorations overhead. "I can already envision it," Lyra said, her heart swelling with warmth. Coming together beneath the stars, sharing stories, laughter, building bridges where there were once walls. Hours before their guests arrived, the sky deepened into an expansive cobalt tapestry, dotted with twinkling stars that began to hover like scattered diamonds. Lyra's heart thudded in anticipation as she worked alongside Zeno, cutting berries and gathering roots, their hands brushing together, an anchor amidst a swirling tide of emotions. Finally, as the orange glow of lanterns sprung to life with the flick of a switch, the air thrummed with excitement. Before long, joyous voices surged through the clearing, followed by the sound of footsteps. Delia and the inhabitants of Outpost Echo had arrived. "Can you believe it? It's all happening," Zeno exclaimed, buzzing with energy as he excitedly bounced on his toes, drawing Lyra into the light of their makeshift celebration. Delia stepped into the light, her gaze brightened by the possibilities, the warmth in her voice echoing through the crowd as she greeted each of the guests with open arms. "What a breathtaking sight you've created. Your dream is becoming a reality, Lyra. Together, we're weaving our worlds into one." With every kind exchange, the clearing blossomed with energy, stories intermingling as laughter replaced any lingering doubt. They gathered around the faux campfire Lyra and Zeno had built, sharing dishes rich with carefully foraged treasures and tales bursting with adventure. Each member of the outpost contributed their own flavor, lively spirits swelling as they celebrated unity, hope, creativity, and kinship. Zeno stole the attention of everyone present, recounting their recent adventure with the foxes, his eyes wide as he animatedly moved his hands, feeling the stories run through him. As the room echoed with laughter, Lyra couldn't help but inhale the magic, marveling at how the world had shifted to weave in her small family, a unifying force that transformed hearts with warmth. As the evening wore on, she felt the corners of her heart blossom, unearthing old treasures, connections she had long believed vanished beneath the surface. While the shadows of the past attempted to knock at her door, the strength of community enveloped her like an embrace, breaking the chains that had held her bound. Soon, the bonfire began to flicker, casting golden embers upward in a wild dance, as Lyra stood and raised her voice above the chorus. "Thank you all for coming here, for sharing this beautiful moment with us. Zeno and I have dreamed of this day, but we know it holds a greater purpose than we realize. Together we are not merely a melange of individuals, but a family, woven together by our stories, creativity, resilience, and the spirit of kindness." The crowd nodded and murmured their agreement, the energy of the gathering pulsing with unity. Zeno glowed at Lyra's side, taking in the sight of the faces surrounding them, kindred spirits united, their laughter echoing through the trees like a balm upon the heart. As she continued speaking, Lyra felt a sense of grounding wash over her, illuminating the path they had forged together. In a world rife with uncertainty, it is our compassion, our ability to connect with one another, that will guide us forward. We have seen selflessness born from hope. Tonight marks not merely a gathering, but the rekindling of hope, and the start of a venture that will bring us all closer and ensure life continues to thrive in this land. May we stand not alone, but as a beacon for all the voices that remain unheard, reweaving lost opportunities with the bond of love. A gentle applause grew strong amidst the camaraderie, hearts swelling as words wove around them. The celebration transformed into communion, a dance of joy for all they had achieved, healing and laughter, intertwining in a dance that summoned the stars. Each flickering glow overhead spoke of possibility. Collective heartbeat grew harmoniously in resonance. As the night stretched on, laughter blended with shared stories that reminded Lyra of a newer world, where acts of kindness flowed effortlessly and vulnerability stitched their hearts together. And when the sky began to fade into the shimmering hues of dawn, Lyra found herself enveloped in Zeno's presence. "We did it, didn't we?" he whispered, his eyes wide with wonder as the first sunlight crept over the horizon. "Yes, and this is only the beginning," she replied, her voice suffused with gratitude for every moment, every connection that had brought them this far. "Together we'll explore, uncover, and nurture this space we call home, and countless lives beyond it." Zeno squeezed her hand, an unwavering bond that reverberated with a promise unbroken, firmly centered in love. Though the world spread infinitely around them, it was in each other that they had found purpose, buoyancy amid the chaos, and the very heart of life itself. As daylight unfurled its arms, shedding warmth upon their gathering, Lyra felt a swell of joy cascade through her. They stood at the precipice of a new dawn, ready to explore the boundless potentials stirring within them, a choiceless legacy born from love, planting seeds for bright tomorrows that promised a community woven from kindness and acceptance. Together, they would create life anew, the tapestry of hope ensconced around them, marking the beginning of an infinite journey shared in the embrace of unity.